Hey there, Duke fans. Welcome to episode 762 of the DBR podcast, the Duke Basketball Roundup. Jason Evans, Donald Wine here for you. It is Monday afternoon. We are less than 24 hours after a very, very impressive road victory by the Duke Blue Devils in an exhibition game. Donald, why are these exhibitions not counting in the standings? Dude, I want to take, that's a quad one win. That's a quad 1A win over Tennessee. We don't get to count this. What the hell?
I will freely admit, Jason, that we consider these games exhibitions, nice little games to check out what our Duke Blue Devils are doing until we won both games, and now I want both of them counted. I'm sure we could go to the NCAA since they're just letting anything happen and just retroactively add them to our record. I feel that's only fair.
Hey, no argument for me, none whatsoever. All right, let's get into this game, and we're going to start. Donald, we complained. I'm not complained is the wrong word. We noted after the UCF game that we didn't get many headlines. The listeners listened. They were like, "Oh, are you throwing down the gauntlet? Are you putting up a challenge?"
I think, Jason, it also, we played UCF, which is, again, it was a brotherhood run. A lot of people were kind of probably saying, it's a nice game. I don't need to really do much on UCF. This game was big. So with that, people stepped up their game to the elevation of importance for the preseason.
Let me tell you right away, just in terms of the ones I picked out, not that I think that they aren't clever, but we got so many boozer headlines, about booze, drinking alcohol, that kind of thing. I just kind of went, those are good any time of year. We're going to have plenty of games where you can make a booze joke. So I'm going to go ahead and pass those on. I'm going to give you a few of mine, then Donald, give me yours, then I'll wrap up mine. Jamie Keffer, wham, bam, thank you, Cam. I like that one. I especially like the ones that play on sort of like the opponent's name. So Bart Hopper gave us Rocky Stomped. Rocky Stopped, which is a play on Rocky Top. I thought that was really good. Rocky Stopped was a good headline. John Grantland, Rocky Toppled, and Volunteers, but he spelled volunteers Tears. Really good from John there. And Jared Strauss. Any volunteers to stop Cameron Boozer? Anyone? I thought that was good.
I like that one. I had a couple others. You mentioned one, some of the ones that play off the booze thing, and you said you're going to hold those for the rest of the season. I'm not. I had a couple that were pretty cool. Ryan Balch, who writes in, and Balch, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your last name, but your headline I can definitely pronounce. Neither prohibition nor the Vols and exhibition can stop the booze. I thought that was very, very clever. Terry Raines had, after rocky start, Blue Devils top Vols behind Big Brother Boozer's beastly box score. Alliteration, use of Rocky Top, A+ there.
I'm
Yes,
glad you
Jason.
said that one. I wasn't even going to try to say there were too many B's in there. Blah, 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 blah.
I had that one ready. You responded to Terry, said, "I'm not going to do it." Terry, I got you, man. I got you. Good to hear from you. And K-Man, our lovely K-Man, he writes, "Boozer passed the eye test with 2020 vision in victory over the Vols."
I like it. All right. So two more to wrap things up. Brian Reckless gave us this 23 and 24. Again, Carlos Boozer had 23 points, 24 rebounds, or 24 points, 23 rebounds, I think it was, whatever.
Yep.
Brian Reckless gave us 23 and 24 is promising for 25-26 season. Good use of numbers there, Brian. And then the last one, Lee Maxson. This wasn't a headline, but he said, "God, I love Cameron Boozer, but the dude missed more bunny shots than Elmer Fudd." I thought that was funny. More bunny shots than Elmer Fudd. That's some good stuff, man.
Jason, as we kind of blend into the good, you can't get 23 rebounds if you don't miss some jumpers. That's just how it works. How many times have we had a guy going, "Oh, we only had one rebound." They go, "Oh, we only missed one shot." I mean, sometimes that happens.
I want to start our conversation, and I guess you can technically call this the good, but with some analysis, not from you and me, but from Coach John Shire, because he said in the post game that he was really impressed with the play of Pat Gongba and Isaiah Evans and how hard they competed in the second half. He talked about Cameron Boozer battling the whole game. He talked about missing Malik Brown, and he mentioned, by the way, that Malik Brown, he said, Malik is our top sub for three different positions on the floor. I think you're going to see, I think it's easy to sort of go, oh, Malik and Pat Gongba will alternate. I think Malik's going to play a lot more than just center minutes, so to speak, for Duke. And then, but the thing I really wanted to talk about was he mentioned that he didn't call a lot of plays. He didn't call a lot of actions for Duke. He didn't have the guys running patterns. He wanted the guys freelancing, figuring things out on their own. He said, this is just an exhibition game. I want them to learn. And then he sort of implied, it was sort of like, look, when we get to the regular season, we get to real games, starting with Texas, I'm going to be helping them out a lot. He literally said, I'm going to help them out on offense a lot more. And Donald, I know we're in the good. We're not going to get to the bad yet, but I think a lot of people saw some raggedness from the Duke offense. And this was John Shire explaining why you saw that.
Well, I also want to compliment John Shire and the coaching staff because, and again, this may be a bad, good on top of a bad, but the way that we came out for the second half, that whatever was spoken in that locker room, whatever was coached up in that locker room at halftime was brilliant. And I know again, this game does not count, but that definitely counts because of the experience that these coaches are going to need to be able to go to individual players or the team as a whole and say, here's where we need to improve, here's where you're messing up, here's where you're doing well, here's what we should exploit, and making those halftime adjustments. Again, sometimes players can win this game and sometimes coaches can lose this game. I think the coaches, I want to give credit to coaches for helping the players along that path of coming back, storming back in the second half and winning this ball game. And I think, again, we may not have many times this season where we're going to be down at the half. We may not have a lot of halves where we shot the way we did in the first half. But there's going to be opportunities for these coaches, whether it be beginning of the game, middle at halftime, or end of game situations where they can coach this team to success and put them in the right positions and make them do, turn around and do the right things and bring the energy that is necessary. We're going to have a lot of opportunities for that. And so for the coaches as well as the players to learn from this, I think is a really great thing for this ball team.
Well, Shire talked about how much more physical they played with more physicality in the second half, and this is now 2 games in a row. I think this is something interesting to really keep an eye on. This is 2 games in a row where Duke was less than what we would expect them to be in the first half, and then way better in the second half. Again, exhibitions, you're messing around with lineups, you're trying different things. John Shire functionally admitted he wasn't coaching the offense. So
Mhm.
I'm not sure we should draw too many conclusions from any of this, but the early trend would suggest that this Duke team is a second half team, which is great so long as you don't fall behind too much. You don't have too bad of a first half. All right, let's get to the good. It has to start with Cameron Boozer. As we said, 24 points, 23 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 blocks, 1 steal, 1 turnover, which by the way, turnover came at a really bad time, like 45 seconds left in what was a 5-point game, and he just turned it over. Not a good time, but for him to play that whole game, to have as many assists as he did, be handling the ball as much as he did, and only have that 1 turnover. But Donald, the number that I think is the biggest number that I want to mention off the bat is 39. He played 39 minutes in this game, Cameron Boozer did. And at the end, he didn't look at all gassed. He didn't look tired. If you said that guy's been out there banging against the grown men, the seniors, the super seniors, the big old guys that Tennessee has, he's been banging against them for 39 minutes. Does he look it? The answer is no. He didn't look it at all. He's everything about it was impressive. I got more to say, but I'll let you get in for a minute.
I'm gonna jokingly start off by saying he missed the only 2 free throws that Duke missed last night, and both of them I think were ones that kind of hit the back of rim and kind of like not necessarily rolled around and out, but like they all had chances to go in. It felt like every single time we needed a basket, whether he was going to create it or he was going to bully his way to the rim and throw it at the rim until he was able to get it inside, or he knocks down or goes to the free throw line. The fact that he was able to command so much attention and still get 24, 23, and 6 with a couple blocks and a steal is simply incredible. We are witnessing in these 2 exhibition games the birth of a star. And I think the fact that Tennessee probably walked into that stadium last night and said, you know what? Number 12 is going to get the ball and we're going to do everything in our power to stop him. And they couldn't. That is demoralizing for a team like that. And so the
Well,
fact that
for a team that is a great like Tennessee is a great defensive team. They're a great physical defensive team. And freshman Cameron Boozer, who has not played in a single official basketball game in his career, out physicaled them. What are we talking about? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it's not even the physical part of it. That's like only a part of his game, but it's also the fact that he
Right.
was able to finesse with that physicality, right? It's not like he got to the rim and just started throwing stuff off the backboard that guys were rebounding and behind the 3-point line. He had the finesse to lay it in. He got a few and ones. Even if he didn't get it, they had to foul him so hard that any other person would just been on the ground in a crumpled heap. But he just went to the free throw line and calmly knocked down his free throws, and again extended the fact that he was able to just command so much attention and still shine above that attention. I think that's great. And again, we just played two games that don't count, but to me, these games are going to count in March when he has a whole season worth of that experience. I think also at the end of the game, he learned, right? He learned how to kind of figure out that he's going to get the ball on almost every possession and he has to make the right play. And, 99% of the time last night, he made the right play or made the right decision. And I think that is just going to, bode well for him and this team that he is able to command so much attention, yet still be able to produce these type of numbers through it.
Well, the games may not have counted, but there were 39 NBA scouts in attendance. They didn't care whether it was an exhibition. They were there. They were there to see the show, and they got a show from Cameron
Mm-hmm.
Boozer. I want to talk about an aspect of his game that they mentioned a good bit on the broadcast last night, but I want us to really focus on it for a moment. Cameron Boozer's ability to get the ball, make an outlet pass, get the ball moving up the floor, get Duke into a fast break almost instantly. The second first of all, he has absolute meat hooks for hands. Like if the ball's anywhere near him, he's going to grab it. The second he has the ball in his hands, he is looking up the floor to see how can we push the pace. And look, he had 6 assists in this game. I'm sorry, 6 assists doesn't even begin to tell the tale of how many points he created because there were several times, numerous times, where Duke was able to push the ball up the floor into maybe a breakout, a run out layup or dunk, or a 2-on-1, a 3-on-1, 3-on-2 kind of situation because Cameron Boozer has created a difficult situation for the defense by setting Duke off and running. Duke pushed the pace even after made baskets. We're pushing the pace. And I loved seeing it. Look, we were told that Cameron Boozer would be one of the most productive players to ever put on a Duke uniform. We were told that he was a winner, arguably the greatest winner in the history of high school basketball. We were told that he was a kid who could both bully people inside and has a feathery touch from the perimeter. And yet, I feel like having been told those things, or at least I feel woefully unprepared for just how dominant he has been in these two exhibition games. And I've got no reason to think these two games against power conference teams, one of whom was ranked, one of the games played on the road in front of a crowd that's probably as good as they'll have all season long. I refuse to believe that these two games are outliers. We're going to keep on seeing this from him. He's going to put up 20 to 30 points. He's going to grab 12 to 25 rebounds almost every night. Donald, I'm not prepared for how dominant this guy is.
Well, you better prepare because the stats game coming this week at some point. So get ready, Jason. No, I think the one thing that you mentioned, the fact that he's able to get rebounds and immediately go on the break. It helps that one, he's able to dribble the ball if he needs to. But for me, it's the fact that even if he goes up over some trees and grabs the ball, there's a couple times where he got the rebound and there was 3 Tennessee guys around him trying to also get the rebound, but he came down with it. And then all of a sudden, you kind of blinked and the ball was in the other end, and we had a chance to take a shot, whether it was a layup or a 3-pointer. And his ability to get the ball quickly up the floor. And also for the rest of the team, because this is a team effort, the fact that you saw Nick or Slim go to the wing, Nick go to the
Yeah.
corner, Dame Sar go to the corner, Caleb Foster maybe flashing to the middle in case he needed an angle to pass the ball so he could dribble up. Like there was a lot of things. Caden Boozer coming to him at points where he knew, hey, he's not going to be able to get this outlet pass. Let me go to him and get the ball. And then there were times where they all said, Cam's got it, and he turned around and was able to see the floor and go forward. So I like the fact that again, he's making good, again, 99% of the time he's making great decisions with the basketball, but the quickness of how he goes from ball in the air in his hands to being on the ground and the ball being at the other end of the floor with an offensive shooting or scoring chance is incredible.
All right, I want to move on to someone else, the guy who I think had the second best game, and that's Pat Gongba. And remember, in our first exhibition, we put Pat in the bad. There's no question that Pat is in the good in this game. Big Pat really battled. We talked about how big and physical and experienced the Tennessee front line is, and Pat battled with them the whole game. He had foul trouble in the first half, and he needs to clean that up. He picked up 3 fouls really quickly in the first half, and that limited his minutes in this game. But he then figured out how to play without fouling in the second half. I thought he did an incredible job contesting shots at the rim and in the lane. He had 3 blocks in this game, Pat did, but that doesn't tell the full story. He had 9 total rebounds. Again, doesn't tell the whole story of the impact he had on the interior. Look, he hit all his free throws. That's always a welcome development from a big man. Everybody on Duke hit their free throws this game. He gets 15, 9, and 3, 15 points, 9 rebounds, 3 blocks, and three assists, by the way. If Pat averages 15, 9, and 3, he's like first team all ACC. It's easy for him to be overshadowed a bit by the unbelievable performance that we're getting from Cameron Boozer. Patrick Gongba, in this game at least, against a really, really good Tennessee front line, looked like a guy who is an all-conference kind of performer.
Jason, you said all that, and you didn't mention that Big Pat hit a 3-pointer last night. It was a calm one, open space. He's gonna take those shots this year.
I'm not sure if you heard. I've made a pie bet. I've made a wager with someone on the DBR forums that Pat will average a half a 3-pointer a game. This not taken, made. I think he will make 0.5 3-point. Basically, I'm saying he's going to make around
20,
18 to 20 3-pointers on the season, 20 3-pointers in the season, and we've wagered a pie on this, and that's how confident I am in Pat's 3-point percentages.
I hope you have a great pie at the end of the season because that means that he will have hit. I hope
it's over by
20.
January. I hope
yeah,
by
I hope you're having
like
winter pie.
Winter
pie, winter pie, Jason. Maybe you get one by Valentine's Day. You can share it with the missus. That'd be great. That means the season's over and he's already got his threes. But I think again, the fact that he was going up with Cam on some of those rebounds, and despite 3 Tennessee guys going with him, you knew one of them was coming down with the basketball. And I like the fact that he again exercised his physicality. He improved. I thought his touch around the rim was great, and there was also times where he picked and chose the times where he would go for the block. And if you notice on almost all of his blocks, he would go up, he would basically block it to himself and come down with the rebound.
I saw, yeah.
And again, that's touched because he knew, okay, if I block it this way, then it's not really going to do me anything because there's nobody behind me. So I need to block it over here so that the only person who can get this basketball when it hits the ground is me. And I like the fact that he's able to figure that out. And, we talked about the fact that he's not going to be quite the rim protector that we had last year with Cooper Flag and with, Man, the guys who are going to try and swat the ball out of the gym. He's going to pick and choose his battles. But when he does, he's going to be successful because not only will he get the block, he'll get the rebound as well. And then again, he's a great passer. He can go the other way. I also like the 2-man game that at times was played between Cam and Pat, where Cam would have the ball up top and kind of, flash the ball down to a wide open Big Pat because Cam was able to draw 2 big defenders, leaving Big Pat wide open. And then there was one where somebody inexplicably decided that on one of those passes, they were going to try and challenge it, and Big Pat made him pay. So I like the fact that he has that kind of floss in his game. And I really enjoyed the 2-man game that they have, the 2 big men being able to be in different spots at once and complement the rest of the team. If Pat can be an all-around defender and all-around offensive maker, not do anything great, but do the little things well, I'm really happy about that because if he's going to be a guy that is the second best player on the team, as some of the metrics predict, that means we had a really good season because I know he's going to continue to improve the more minutes he has on the floor.
Next guy having the good is Isaiah Evans. Isaiah gets 22 points in this game, almost past Cam for leading scorer. He got those 22 points because he was hitting his threes, 44% from 3-point range, 4 of 9. hit his free throws too. 8 of 8 at the free throw line.
Hmm.
You go to the free throw line 8 times, that's a good thing. You hit all 8 of them, that's a great thing. Picked up 5 rebounds, did Isaiah, and I just liked. I liked that he was more than a 3-point shooter in this game. He had that one ball that Pat fed to him that he slammed down the middle. But the one I think I liked the best was there was one time he was coming down the middle and he went for like a 2-hand thunder slam that I was going to bring. I know it was at Tennessee. It was still going to bring the house down.
Hmm.
And they ended up fouling him pretty hard. I mean, one of the reasons he got all those free throws, Isaiah, was because he was getting hacked pretty hard on some of these attempts at the basket. That's going to continue to develop for him. He is, to me, the most important thing that can happen for the Duke offense is that Isaiah Evans can get a little more varied. He's going to continue to shoot. I bet dude shoots 10 3-pointers a game or close to it. I mean, like he fires it up
He
there a
shot
lot.
9, so yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right
Yeah.
around there.
I got no problem with that. But when he becomes more varied in his game and is also a threat to do other things and to find other teammates, he didn't have any assists in this game. I'd like him to, work on that a little bit. That's when the Duke offense really gets unlocked.
And I think all that the lack of assists might be because of the role that he plays, right? He's kind of the gunslinger of the group, and you take it for good or bad, right? There's going to be nights where he's not going to shoot as well as he did last night. But I also like the fact that I'm going to use this as kind of a big segue, kind of a segue to the overall group. You mentioned his free throws, 8 for 8. He led the team in the second half, where the team went 20 for 20 from the line when again we had the fact that we were only up 5 with 40 seconds left. We had to play it in the game situation that did not go so well last season at times. But the fact that we were able to knock down free throws when it mattered, and like you said, because he was aggressive in the second half, he got to the free throw line. He was able to knock down free throws, including a couple in the clutch, and that preserved the win. But I like the fact that we were being aggressive in the second half. We were getting to the free throw line. We made all our free throws. We went 25 for 27. As I mentioned, Cam missed 2 in the first half, and those were the only 2 that the team missed all game. I really, really liked the fact that we were being aggressive and getting to the line. We had with 36 free throws against UCF, so we're going to have that aggression, and because of that, teams are going to have to figure out a way to contend that, and their way of doing it so far has been to foul, which means we got to knock our free throws down. But the fact that Slim, I thought Dame Sar, and I thought Big Pat, their energy to start the second half really shook the team into high gear, and that's why we went on that 19-9 run to start the second half, and that's how we ended up looking, never looking back.
I will say this about the free throws. I mean, this was a tight game. This is a 1 to 2 possession game throughout the final 5 minutes. I don't know that you can count on hitting 92, 93% of your free throws every game. And I sort of wonder what the game would have been like had Duke not been almost otherworldly at the free throw line, but we can get to that in a minute. The last thing I've got in the good that I wanted to mention, I want to shout out a few guys for their defense. Caleb Foster, who, still finding his way on offense and is doesn't appear to be the facilitator that I think some of us had hoped he would be. He is a major pest on defense. He harassed Jacoby Gillespie into 5 of 21 shooting. He was almost exclusively on Gillespie the whole game, and Tennessee's offense was like, get the ball to Gillespie and see what he can do. And the answer was he can't do very much against Caleb Foster.
Mm-hmm.
Gillespie, I mean, 5 of 21, just like that's not good shooting. Dame Sar, I thought played really good defense. His limbs are so damn long. There were some times that Dame got like tricked, got fooled. You saw that he was a little bit lost on defense, but because his limbs are so long, he's in 2 spaces at the same time almost. So he was able to recover every time. Man, his length is special. And then I also wanted to mention Nick Hamenia, who I think did a nice job. He was mostly on Nate Ament for them. For Tennessee much of the time. And, highly touted freshman in Nate Ament who struggled a lot in this contest. He ends up shooting 5 of 19. We mentioned Gillespie 5 of 21, Ament 5 of 19. So their 2 top scorers were combined 10 of 40. Yeah, that's not going to get done. That's not. And I think a lot of that falls to to, like I said, Caleb Foster, but also to Nick Hemenia, who did a really nice job of just trying to stay in front of Ament, forcing Ament to shoot over him the whole time, as opposed to letting Ament get better angles to the basket. And the offense will come, Donald. The defense may already be there for this Duke team.
Well, again, defense is how you're going to stay on the floor. And despite the fact that some of those guys didn't have the best shooting nights, they stayed on the floor and played heavy minutes because of the fact that they were playing defense. I do want to single out specifically Nick Hemenia because of the fact that I thought he had a really tough assignment on Amit, because Amit is 6'11", a 6'11" shooting guard who was able to get to the rim almost, at times on command. And Nick was able to keep in front of him and, like you said, force him into even the shots that he made. They were tough shots that he had to make. He had to get to the position. He had to earn every one of those points. And I appreciate the fact that Nick Hemenia took on that assignment, and I thought did pretty well considering the circumstances. There's not gonna be many times this year where we're gonna ask Nick Hemenia to guard a 6'11" dude. Most of the guys are going to be around his size, and I cannot wait to see him against someone his size.
Nick's 6'9". Most of the guys he's going to be guarding are going to be even smaller than him. Yeah.
Right. So I can't wait to see him guard somebody that's, around his size, because he's going to swallow him, on defense, because they're not going to be able to get past him. And the fact that Nate Ament was, Jason, as you've mentioned on the preview, we know a lot about Nate because we followed him for the better part of a year and a half. But I think his game is going to be there. He's going to be one of the top freshmen in the nation. And Nick Hemenia can, kind of look back at this tape and go, I held him in check for most of the game. And so I liked, again, that positive we can carry to the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think definitely so. All right, we're going to take a quick break. On the other side, some things to work on. And Donald, you were talking about the top freshmen. I just want to really quickly go over a couple of the performances we saw over the weekend. Some really, really impressive stuff from highly touted guys. It looks like this is going to be a hell of a freshman class.
I turned off news altogether.
I hate to say it, but I don't trust much of anything.
It's the rage bait.
It feels like it's trying to divide people.
If we got clear facts, maybe we can calm down a little.
NBC News brings you clear reporting. Let's meet at the facts. Let's move forward from there. NBC News, reporting for America.
All right, back from the break on the DBR podcast. We are continuing our analysis of Duke's 83-76 victory over the Tennessee Volunteers at Tennessee. Donald, we will begin with the bad, or the things we need to work on. I'm going to start with shot selection and passing. Look, we said at the top that John Shire said he was kind of letting these guys do their own thing. There was a lot of one-on-one, Donald. There was not a lot of in terms of generating good looks off of passing and screening, things like that. There were moments. I mean, look, there was a great moment where Slim slid past Pat and Pat fed him for a down the lane slam. But Duke had 14 assists in this contest. Nine of those 14 assists came from Cameron Boozer and Patrick Gongbo. When your big men, and look, we got good passing big men, but when your big men are producing like 2/3, 3/4 of your total assists, that means your guards are really not doing all that much in terms of creativity. Neither Caleb nor Caleb Foster or Caden Boozer, neither one of them seemed to generate offense from the half court set. Neither did Nick Hemenia, who also sort of played the de facto role of point guard at times. We just looked ragged a lot, and we had to resort to Cameron Boozer to bail us out on a number of times. Look, in the first 6 minutes of this game, the only buckets that Duke got in the first 6 minutes were offensive putbacks. In the final 6 minutes, actually 6 minutes and 45 seconds of this game, we didn't have a single bucket. In fact, the only bucket we had in the final 8.5 minutes was an offensive rebound bucket. Winning time, last 8.5 minutes of the game, Duke had one made field goal. We did our job at the free throw line, but you just got to be able to generate a little bit more in terms of good offensive looks. And again, I know John Shire explained it, but I'm still something to work on. That's definitely something to work on. And by the way, one of the guys who was the biggest victim or biggest perpetrator of bad shot selection and such, I thought was Cameron Boozer. He took a lot of shots that were heavily contested, where he was on the move. I think sometimes you kind of mentioned this. I think sometimes he was sort of throwing it up there and saying, okay, I'll probably be able to get this rebound. It's not, that's not a great way of running offense. Cameron only shot 7 of 20 in this game. That's 35%. As crazy as it sounds, though, that's better than the rest of the team shot. This Duke team, we did not have a good day from the field.
Like you said, the only place we shot well was at the free throw line. But Jason, I think, if we look at this in the frame of an exhibition game, the way I see it is we got punched in the mouth very quickly in this game. It may have been a slow burn for Tennessee to score, but I thought in the first 10 to 15 minutes of this game, we had a hard time trying to handle Tennessee's physicality and the intensity of the game. I think I don't know if it was in our minds that we knew this was an exhibition and we can try some things, but it was definitely one where we had a slow start in the sense of intensity and physicality. And as I mentioned, against Tennessee, for you and I'm sure for so many others, it brings back the memories of that NCAA tournament game where we go, we just don't have it, and this team is not going to is going to make us pay for us not having it. Again, I commend the team from coming out in the second half and reversing that and really turning it into a game where after the game, Jason, I watched all, Sports Center and everything, and they were like, man, these Dukies look really good. They kind of blurred out the first half and kind of said, yeah, let's go to the second half. And let's talk about how good Duke is. And I think, again, you want that to be the narrative, but deep down, you want that start to be a little bit less sluggish. And you want to practice the fact that teams are going to give you your best shot. We have a loaded schedule full of teams who want to take us out. We got to learn how to play with intensity from the opening whistle. The other thing, as you kind of mentioned as well, the end of game situations. I'm sure people had some PTSD about the end of game situation last night, and how we struggled with it. Definitely something to work on there. I think the hope is that we don't have that many, but we're going to have these moments where, and as I mentioned, where the coaching staff is going to have to coach up this team. We're going to have moments where the leaders of this team on the players' side, they got to figure out how to get everybody hyped up for this. And there's going to be points where guys have to look each other in the eye and go, let's hold each other accountable and let's get through this patch together. There's going to be those moments. There's going to be those stretches where not everything's going right. I like the fact that we learned how to turn a bad shooting night into a win. We're going to have those nights too. But I think all these little things are things that we can improve. I'm glad we had this experience last night. I'm shout out to John Shire for scheduling a game like this. And again, taking the reins and saying, put me in a situation right now that I can learn from for the season, not against a team that we're not going to get any answers from. So I really enjoyed the fact that we did struggle last night because it didn't count. Now that we won, add it to the record books, if you will. But I like the fact that we struggled and we learned how to overcome that to get the victory.
One last set of numbers that I want folks to understand. By the way, we didn't shoot great from three. We were 37%, 10 of 27, but that's still 37% is certainly good. It's not like it's terrible.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Over the course of the season, right around there, 37% is not bad at all for being three. Maybe a couple percentage points higher would be really nice, but that's not bad. The place that I was bothered by was our 2-point shooting. Donald, I looked at it. Our guards, Isaiah Evans, guards and wings, Isaiah Evans, Nick Hemenia, Caleb Foster, Dame Sarr, Darren Harris, Caden Boozer, and Sebastian Wilkins. I totaled up all their 2-point field goals, not threes, just the twos that they took. They were 4 of 20 on 2-point field goals. My goodness. That math comes out to 20%, folks. Our guards and wings combined to hit 20% of their 2-point field goals. Now, the amazing thing is, how'd we score 83 points doing that? I mean, as much as we're sitting here dumping on the one-on-one offense and the bad shot selection and the fact that this Duke team just struggles to finish at the man, Nick Hemenia really struggles. Caleb Foster, these guys struggle to finish at the rim big time. And yet we scored 83 points against a good defensive team in Tennessee. We scored 96 the other day. We're coming out of exhibition play, averaging almost 90 points per game. What am I complaining about? I don't know.
Well, again, it's things to work on, and that's what the point of these exhibition games are. That's why we schedule such tough exhibition games. We want that toughness. We want to have a bad shooting night and figure out how to overcome it. We want to have a situation where, again, I'm sure, John Shire let him have it at halftime and said, "Hey, I let you guys do your thing, and this is what you do. Like, if you're gonna do your thing, make it count. This is an exhibition game, but make every possession count, make every single play count, and make every single decision matter." And I think that is where the team learned on the fly. Now, again, these are all things to improve on. I'm not taking any, taking any concern from the fact we had a bad shooting night. We're going to have more of those. It's about how we respond to it. I like the response, but I also kind of hate the fact that you have to get to that point for there to be a response, right? If we start the game out better, we don't need to respond at halftime. So I think that's the biggest thing is if we start these games out a little bit hotter, making the right decisions, that habit will hopefully carry throughout the rest of the game, as opposed to knowing that deep down, okay, if we're within a certain distance at halftime, we can catch up. We don't want to continually play catch up against these teams.
Yeah, and earlier you mentioned that Duke did a nice job rebounding against Tennessee, and we won the rebounding battle. In the first half, that wasn't really the case. Now, they didn't. Usually the box score that's provided by Duke breaks down first half and second half, and they didn't do that in this game. Like, usually there's a plus. We haven't talked about plus minus. Usually there's a plus minus in the box score. They didn't have it in this game. I guess Tennessee.
The box score is in preseason mode too. So
it's the home team that does the box score. I guess I guess Tennessee went cheap this year on their on their box score company.
They'll turn that on. They'll turn it on next week. So
yeah, exactly. So there's some analysis from the stats that we're not really getting. So I don't know how many offensive rebounds Tennessee had in the first half versus the second half, but my bet is that there was a huge disparity, because early on I was like, man, they're grabbing every offensive rebound, but they only ended the game with 9 offensive rebounds. So I bet they had like 7 or 8 of those in the first half. And then the last thing I had that I wanted to mention in the bad was, there were a number of guys on Duke who were battling through foul trouble. Now, they did a really nice job. No one fouled out. They did a really nice job of dealing with that foul trouble. But do you know the best way not to have a problem dealing with foul trouble? It's to not get in foul trouble. So I thought that there were a number of fouls we committed that I was like, that was just a dumb, that wasn't a smart foul. We're still a very young team, even though we got some experienced guys. We're still, Patrick Gongba may be a sophomore. He didn't play a ton as a freshman. Obviously, Nick Hamini, on and on. There are a lot of guys who had difficult defensive assignments, who committed fouls. So I was sort of like, you got to clean it up a little bit, guys. They'll get there, but it's just something worth noting.
Yeah, we have a week and a half to get it right, because then they'll start on November 4th. They do start to count, and we need to be ready for it.
All right, let's get to the play of the game. I'm terrified that you're going to take my play of the game, so I'm going to go first.
there is a play of the game, Jason. So go ahead and say the play of the game.
All right, Cameron Boozer, he didn't block the ball. He grabbed it out of my man's hands and
he cupped it with one hand.
Yeah. It was ridiculous. And immediately, because this is what Cam Boozer does, immediately looks up the floor. Oh, there's Dame Sarr running. I'll hit my boy in full stride. And Dame went in for a dunk. That was a ridiculous play. Unfortunately, it happened like at a moment where they had a split screen with Rick Barnes. And Rick Barnes was good, by the way. I enjoyed hearing from him on the bench. I guarantee you that doesn't happen in a regular game. Exhibitions are good for something. But I was hoping we'd get 8 or 10 different replays. We only got like 1 or 2 of them. But man, that was an easy call as the play of the game.
Don't worry, Duke men's basketball social media has got you covered, Jason. I've seen at least 3 other angles through their account. So thank you. They do the best work in the business, and it is not unappreciated. We love you guys for giving us several angles of that masterpiece.
All right, so my last thing I have is this. 2 years ago.
Wait, Jason, we're still in preseason mode, but it's going to be quick. We have our player of the week. Can I just say the full stat line for Cam Boozer, since he is going to be our player of the week? 49 points.
Let me hear it. Hold on. Go ahead.
49 points. He was 5 of 10 from 3. He was 14 of 17 from the line, 19 of 39 from field goals, 35 rebounds, 12 of them offensive, 10 assists, 2 blocks, 1 steal, and just the 4 turnovers this week. May Cam have many more of those stat lines throughout the season.
That's outrageous. That's ridiculous. If he had done that against like a Division 2 and like a small Division 1 opponent, we would be going crazy. But no, he did it against a Big 12 and an SEC team. I mean, goodness gracious. I don't know what to say. All right, so let me get to my last thing now. And this connects to Cam Boozer, by the way. So I was going to say, 2 years ago, my Atlanta Hawks won the draft lottery. We won the lottery. We got the #1 pick, and we had a choice between Alex Sarr and Zachary Rasachier. The Hawks chose Zach Rasachier. Most folks think it was a good choice. You know, probably the best pick in the draft, even though it looks like he'll never be more than a fringe starter. Donald, why couldn't my team win the lottery next year? The 26th draft lottery. Teams are going to start tanking right now. The NBA season's just begun. I guarantee you there are teams out there who are like, can we lose all our games right now? Can we just, because you don't have to win the lottery. If you're in the top 4, you're perfectly fine, baby. I can't even tell you how good this freshman class looks. We've talked about Cameron Boozer and what he did. You gave the stats a moment ago. AJ Dybansa did 18-8 and looked absolutely dominant on defense against UNC for BYU. He had 3 steals and 3 blocks. 18-8, 3 steals and 3 blocks, AJ Dybansa. Do you see what Darren Peterson did? 26 points, 26 points and 5 steals as Kansas beat Louisville. Kansas and Louisville played a big exhibition game. Kansas won that one fairly easily, and Darren Peterson was just unbelievable.
And I did see it was fiery between the coaches a little bit of sparks between the coaches after the game.
There was. They were talking each other up a little bit. Yeah.
Animated.
By the way, Louisville's big shot freshman Mikal Brown, who I earlier was saying he's going to give Cam Boozer a run for his money, ACC Rookie of the Year. Mikal Brown was 2 for 15 in that game. 2 for 15. The ACC Rookie of the Year race not starting out very good for him, but the ACC Rookie of the Year race. Dark horse? How can he be the dark horse? Caleb Wilson, who's the #4 player or #5 player in the class. Nate Ament is #4. Caleb Wilson, #5 player in the class for UNC. Caleb Wilson had 22 and 10 with 3 blocks in the game they played against LSU. So the 5 guys who are at the very top of this class, and I'm including Nate Ament, who struggled from the field, but boy, we saw how talented that guy is and how much he's going to be an impact player. Donald, I think the top 5 guys in this freshman class, all 5 of them, to me, look like future NBA All-Stars. That is unbelievable. And frankly, Cam Boozer, Darren Peterson, AJ Dybansa, just like those guys. It's the truth. How could all those guys be in the same class? It's crazy.
I mean, we knew this class was going to be, deeply talented. You didn't mention in that, like we talked about some of the freshmen that we have in our team and how well we think that they're supposed to do. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch these guys grow into their own this year, and especially when you start comparing Cam to not just the other best freshmen in the country, but also some of the other best players in the country.
Yeah,
Cam Boozer is going to be in that conversation for much of the year, we predict, and I think that's going to be fun to watch as well.
All right, that's going to wrap it up here. That's going to wrap it up here for us on the latest edition of the Duke Basketball Roundup. We're going to be back in your feed in just the next couple of days. We are planning to do the stats game. Sam will be here to join us. We're hoping to bring in Scott Rich. We're going to have we're going to have 4 guys on to talk about our predictions via the statistics for this upcoming Duke season. You do not want to miss that.
Jason, that means that for the last time, because I still have to go to the trophy store and get it fixed. This baby right here, the trophy is up for grabs. It's technically Jason's. I gotta fix it and send it to him. I was just getting quotes today, Jason. I was just getting quotes today, Jason. Trophy stores in DC are very expensive, so I'm trying to get the best price for our baby here. And then I will put it in the mail with a lot of popcorn and bubble wrap to send it to you so that you can have it for the whole season. But this is what we're up for. This stats game trophy that was donated by our lovely friend Mike Hemrick. So looking forward to getting this back. Maybe I just keep it and just win this year, and then I just keep it. But no, Jason, you'll have it so you can show it off to us throughout the season.
By the way, I'm loving in the stats game. We're all going to be asked to predict Duke's leading scorer. We're going to pick Cameron Boozer. Duke's leading rebounder. We're going to pick Cameron Boozer. We're then going to have to all pick the number. I want to see how high the number gets. Is anybody going to go as high as like 15 rebounds a game? Is anybody going to go as high as like 22, 23 points per game? It might happen. I mean,
Jason, don't give away your numbers. Don't give away your numbers with this.
Crazy.
Don't try to influence the stats game. No. I'm not playing your game. So we don't even have the categories yet. So Sam's going to give those to us. We know the general ones that we normally do, but there's going to be a lot of studying for this one because a lot of these categories, like you said, the numbers might be up for grabs, but also some of these players, how they may go one way or the other for some of these categories, which will be really fun to predict and then watch unfold.
All right, that's coming at you in the next few days, folks. Until then. He's Donald. I'm Jason. The Duke Blue Devils undefeated in the preseason, baby. Here's the Duke band playing us out and taking us home.
So I collect New Era caps, mainly the 5950s. I've been collecting them since I was a little kid. That and jerseys are my vice, right? Like not shoes or anything like that.
Sure.
That and jerseys. And so literally as I was doing research for today and doing all this stuff, I get a notification from New Era and they're like, "Oh, check out these random hats." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know if I'm wanting any of these." So I click on the notification and there were a bunch of hats that I was like, "Oh yeah, these are cool, but these aren't what I'm looking for." So as I start to close it out, at the bottom, it was like, "You may like," and it was Coming to America has come out with the line of New Era caps, 5950 fitteds. So Jason, after we're done here, I'm gonna go on and buy all of them.
Wait. What do you mean by Coming to America? You mean
Like the movie? Yeah. So the movie has been licensed, and now they have like Zamunda hats. Yes. So I have not.
Amazing.
I haven't. I just saw like 5 hats, and one says Soul Glow on it. These are gonna be worn by me all winter, all summer. I might rotate through the 5 of them or whatever they have, but I gotta dive into it after this episode because I just saw the snippet and then I was like, it's almost 4. I can't open up 87 windows and order these things right now. I don't have enough time. So tonight I'm going to order these hats.
Soul Glow hat. Please let it have some wet Jerry curl attached to it.
It doesn't, but I still got my Afro sheen that I normally use, so maybe I have to grease myself up before I put it on. There's gonna be like a permanent stain on the hat from the Afro sheen.
Oh my God, the Zamunda hat. Oh, that's great. That is awesome.
Yeah. So I am very excited about my evening after all the pods I got to do.